Good evening and thank you for joining us here at 5. I'm Nicole Long. We are currently working to learn more about an incident near Union Endicott High School this afternoon. According to the Endicott Chief of Police, an incident occurred just outside the high school. The chief says there were non-life-threatening injuries and there is no threat to the public. The chief could not say how many people were injured or their ages. He stresses again that the public is not in danger and all after-school activities are continuing as scheduled. This is a developing situation, so stay with 12 News as we work to learn more. In Chenango County, Norwich police have arrested a man following a 5-month-long investigation into a deceased woman. A warning, this story contains graphic details. On May 1st, Norwich police responded to 12 Columbia Street in Norwich for the unattended death of a 71-year-old woman. Upon arrival, Norwich detectives and the New York State Police Forensic Investigations Unit collected evidence from the scene and residents. Following the investigation, police arrested 45-year-old Mark Paul Randall, alleging he performed sexual acts on the victim multiple times over several hours. Randall, who is already a sex offender, is charged with felony tampering with physical evidence and sexual misconduct. Randall was arraigned at Norwich City Court and held on $25,000 bail. Speaking on the arrest, Norwich Police Chief Reuben Roach said, quote, "This was a gruesome act that will negatively affect the family members of the descendant and all officers involved forever," end quote.